Hey guys, Disletter Magic here, and YouTube has sort of a hard limit of 3 videos per 24 hours, otherwise they will just stop sending out notifications and I won't get any views on the 4th one, so we're just gonna have to slam all of the M21 spoilers, teasers, leaks, everything together. So there was a spoiler leak first, a leak that the spoilers will start on June 4th. So that information was leaked but not confirmed in any way by Wizards yet. Then we had Mark doing a teaser like he did last time where he just describes certain cards or things or themes or whatever, like we're gonna have a cat on a motorcycle with the +5 attack. Yeah, I wish, Mark. And then there was a post on Reddit. It was made 8 days ago and everybody blew it off because, Reddit, douchebag fake and stuff, they think it's funny, except that he was completely and utterly right about the companion errata, the whole pay 3 thing. So that was either a weirdly specific, very good guess, or the rest of what he said is also true, although some of these, they're a little far-fetched. So, they're the most exciting. Let's start with those. Oh, and he also did leak that Fires of Invention will be banned. Oh boy, so did I 2 months ago. Whoa, Miss Cleo, call me now for your free psychic reading. That bitch from Queens, okay, she ain't Jamaican. So, allegedly, the set was going to have Birds of Paradise, which would be wonderful to print in Standard. Finally, we'd get a print volume that's respectable. Might actually suppress the price of the card for more than a week. But I guess because it was leaked, they pulled it? I don't know about that. You don't just take out like a flying staple needed reprint mana generator and say, oh, the set's just fine. Yeah, it's a core set, but you either need a mana dork or you don't. It's that simple. Now, we do have a lot of them still in Standard, but maybe not post-rotation. I wonder if they ever pulled something just because it leaked. So maybe like a staff member like super early when they were planning M21 said, we're looking at Birds of Paradise. And they're like, well, now we can't do it. Which, why not? So I don't know how I feel about the realism of that one. But also, it's going to have Grim Tutor, allegedly, which is a very old Starter Edition 1999 card, which I actually don't know what that is. But it was a rare, apparently. I think I actually do kind of know what that was. But yeah, it's a double black, single, generic, 3-cost sorcery. Search your library for any card, thus the tutor part. Put it in your hand, and then lose 3 life. Pretty good tutor. I don't think right now with the amount of mana availability and consistent decks, we really need that strong and early and fast of a tutor, but whatever. With that stupid free casting fiend thing from Ikoria, now we've got like 2 sources to go get Grey Merchant. I don't like this. Then allegedly Ugin is going to be in the set. They didn't specify which of the 2 would be reprinted or if it's a new one, so I'll just assume the worst and, assume it's the game-ruining one that costs 8 from back in the day. It was in a deck where it's just 3-color board wipe, counterspell, removal, kill it, discard, whatever. Oh, look, Ugin, and then they win the game. Yeah, I love those all-in secondary win con decks. Those are so much fun to play against. I love not getting to play my deck at all. That's just a real treat. Oh, and allegedly Grim Tutor will be at Mythic. See, a lot of this stuff is very hard to believe. They could have done that just for draft purposes, but my god, it's a damn tutor card. Wasn't Diabolic Tutor like common for 1 more mana? Like, calm down on the mythics there. Allegedly, they're also reprinting Accumulated Knowledge, which is draw a card, 2 blue instant speed, then draw cards equal to the number of cards named Accumulated Knowledge in all graveyards, because we really need more graveyard stuffing and isn't bullshit in our lives. We knew a core set featuring Teferi was going to be bad, guys, but like, how bad is the question? And right now, it looks like they're going down the crazy path. I cannot possibly warn you enough about how bad this set is going to be. Like, no words that I could say would prepare you for how much control horseshit is going to be in this set. So if I seem to have a bit of a negative outlook on it with just a tiny amount of information, trust me, it's going to be accurate. That is going to be a 100% USDA certified pure accurate take. We're going to have a 2-cost, 1 black, 1 generic instant that says destroy target creature or planeswalker with CMC 3 or less. If it was either one of those, it'd be worthless, but with them together, how many planeswalkers really cost 3? And if they are, they're just glorified enchantments that sit there and do a thing and have a passive. And those ones that say blow up a creature 2 or less, it might as well do nothing. But 3, okay, now we're starting to get some stuff that's worth targeting. I think it might almost be more useful outside of Standard, but it'll probably be playable. When I put in a kill spell, I will pay 1 extra mana to have it kill everything, okay? I want reliability. It's like those stupid counter spells where it's like, oh, make your opponent pay 3 more. Well, late game, it does literally nothing, so oopsies. I'd rather just pay 1 more and actually counter the spell reliably. The only exception is if your deck is just that damn fast. And trust me, people on Arena, it's like turn 30 and they're casting like, oh, make the spell cost 2 more. Well, somebody put in the wrong spell. You ever heard of the card called Cancel? People have been known to play it. Are you ready to get absolutely nuts? We're going to have a 4 cost, 1 white, 3 generic, lifelink something. I mean, I guess it would be a creature then. Whenever 2 or more creatures attack you or a planeswalker you control, you may draw a card. Whenever an opponent casts a second spell each turn, you may draw a card. That sounds really familiar, like really, really familiar. I want to say there was something just like that in like the Morph set, but I was going to say Citadel, but that's way different. So in white, where white is dominated by life gain, you now gain a benefit in card advantage, so more sources of life gain when your opponent attacks you. You can already pretty much just swing past them over their heads with lifelink and then just take the hit. Now you can really take the hit. Oh, and this lifelinker is going to be a 2/4, so at least I didn't make it like a 4/1. I really hope that didn't make the cut, because that's crazy. So next we're going to have 1 plus red plus green, so 3 cost. As long as it's your turn, this has first strike. I always like that ability, because first strike is pretty OP on defense if you get enough of them. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. You may play the top card of your library if it's a land card. Oh, good, we super needed that. Once again, that sounds really familiar. I think that's a reprint. I thought it was some kind of like druid or satyr, or I don't know. Well, at least it's not Simic colors. Then we're going to see a kind of interesting card. It's going to be a 6 cost, so 4 generic and then red and green. And it gets +X, where X is the number of lands you control, but it starts as a 3/3. Here's the thing, though. You probably had more than 3 lands to bring it out, so it's going to be bigger than a 6/6 right off the bat. But, you know, no flying, no trample, no hexproof, no whatever. So, yeah, big, scary green creature with red added for some reason. But more lands in play equals the mechanic from this set is not what I want to see. Although I should say, little asterisk on everything I've said in this entire video, rotation is a thing, so, you know, there's that. I'm not going to sit there and look up cards that might be potentially fake in the context of what's rotating and what's not and shit, just forget it. All right, new Teferi, because of course that would be leaked. It's going to be 4 cost, double blue, and then 2 generic, obviously. You can use new Teferi's ability anytime you can play an instant. That's right. Because he's a time wizard and an asshole, he gets to use his abilities at instant speed. I don't know how that works, because usually it's phrased once per turn. So what, you get to use them once on your turn and once on your opponent's turn? Because that would get out of control real quick on loyalty. So +1, draw and then discard. So just your typical boring blue effect. So cool, that's his plus. It does like nothing. I mean, basically cycle a card with the post being the discard, not discard up front because it's blue, not red. That does let you go get more control and, you know, get rid of an unneeded land and basically go get your stupid degenerate glass cannon combo. So I never did like it, but it's not commonly played. It's pretty weak. Then -3, target creature you don't control phases out. Oh yes, they're allegedly bringing back phasing, which, I mean, if they're going to do it, it would be in a Teferi set, but wow, let's look up what that is on the storm scale. Ah, yes, an 8. I'm starting to think that 7 and up, which is the we're never going to print this ever again ranking, pretty much, is where they're just getting ideas from at this point. They already did Storm. They basically did Banding with Mutate. I'm going to call it the same thing. They weren't too far off from Dice Rolling and Dredge. I mean, they did do Coin Flipping. They did reprint Slivers. I mean, this is in the context of Standard, but they still did it. They reprinted Storm, which the scale is named after. They did technically do Annihilator in BFZ. Oh, they've done Affinity for artifacts a lot. We're getting down into the 8s here. They've basically manually printed Delve. They've effectively reprinted Miracle. I mean, you have to pay full price, so it's a little different, but still. They've kind of done Splice. Literally just Afflict is 7, and they printed that. Aftermath is 7, and they printed that. Cascade, they literally just printed. And, they've kind of reprinted Threshold. So yeah, they really are getting some ideas from the top of the we're never going to do this ever again because it was so broken and terrible for the game list. So allegedly Teferi will come out with 5 and then he has a +1. So he has a -10 and it's take 2 extra turns after this one. Fantastic. He is never getting to 10. I'm starting to think this will be like one of the uncommon Teferis and one of the weak ones because when they did Chandra, there was 3 of her and there was like super weak, kind of good, then actually insane. This has got to be one of the weaker ones. Although the question is, for -3, what the hell is phasing, for those of you who didn't live through that fresh hell? During each player's untap step, before the active player untaps, all phased-in permanents with phasing that the player controls now phase out. At the same time, all phased-out permanents under that player's control phase in. When a permanent phases out, it is treated as though it doesn't exist. It can't be affected or interacted with by anything except for a card or effect that specifically says phased out permanents, like exile all phased out permanents. So you might think, why the hell would I want to do that? It says target creature you don't control phases out. So that's why you'd want to do that. So they get access to the creature half the time. So you've half removed it. What a half good ability. You know what really sucks though? When a permanent phases in or out, it does not change zones, which bullshit it doesn't. And it doesn't leave the battlefield. Once again, bullshit it doesn't. So you don't get an enter the battlefield or leaves the battlefield ability. No triggers for you. I mean, otherwise you might accidentally benefit them because then you have to get rid of something really toxic. Then, oh, whoops, I just amplified their ETB. Basically, Mark Rosewater has said like 7 different times, phasing is a 9 because why not just flicker something? I have an idea, Mark, because that's completely different. Absolutely, completely and utterly different. If you flicker your opponent's creature, yeah, it basically now has summoning sickness, okay, whatever. That or you just straight up removed it from combat. But then ETB goes off and also they immediately get it back, like immediately, so they could do something else with it. It's not truly gone for an entire turn. So, I mean, he says it fills most of the space that they wanted, but it still really isn't the same thing. And most people will flicker their own creature. You don't usually flicker your opponent's creatures. In fact, most flicker spells don't let you target your opponent's permanents. So for like defensive phasing, no, flicker does not make sense. And this, well, on the Teferi allegedly is defensive phasing. So, okay, I guess that makes sense, but it's still a 9. People still have freaking PTSD over phasing. So that whole 2 extra turns thing is going to be a pain in the ass. I think the only way this is playable is honestly with Proliferate, because you are not going to get to 10. I mean, maybe in a 3-color like Esper control deck where you just sit there and dick around and stop your opponent every single turn, then take all the damn turns you want. Take 5, 10 turns to get to -10, whatever. But you use the defensive ability once you set yourself back 3 turns, just saying. Well, I guess 4 turns because you could have +1 him. But I could see people playing him in a Simic ramp deck with Wilderness Reclamation that should have been banned but wasn't. He would get you closer to a crisis. He would get the lands out of the way that you clearly don't need. And, he could maybe do something with graveyard stuffing too in any deck actually, because you'd be discarding your choice of cards. So like an Ashiok Reanimator deck, okay, maybe. I just don't like that he has 5 loyalty for 4, but if you gotta get to 10, go for it. And he can't use his removal twice, so... Okay, fairly tame, Teferi. That's why I'm pretty sure this is not the mythic version. I think this is the bullshit Terry. Wait, his name's not Terry, it's Teferi. But you know what? I'm going to call him Terry. So this is, bread and butter, boring, who cares Teferi. He's probably going to be younger on the card. I think that's what they usually do. Then we're probably going to have, normal, obnoxious, everybody hates him Terry. And then we're going to have Mythic, absolutely broken, cannot be countered, drops in an emblem turn 1. Screw you, screw your deck, screw everything you have in play, screw your hopes of winning. Absolute bane of every Magic player's existence, Super Saiyan Terry at Mythic level. Can't wait to see that one. So if any of those are true, it'll be interesting. I feel like it was like a troll to say, phasing's coming back, but then it's Teferi and it's a Teferi set, so maybe. That white card is insane. There's no way in hell they're printing that, but then again, this is Wizards. They'd probably print a 0 cost that says win the game. Everything else seems reasonable, but people are like, oh, but don't forget rotation. Rotation happens when Zendikar comes out, not when the core set comes out. We always have 2 core sets legal at the same time. So anything I said in this video about, oh, that'll work good with Gruul, yeah, for 3 months, but still, and people like to say, yeah, just write off the 8th set, 3 months, because as soon as the 8th set drops, it's a total free-for-all. It's just an absolute shitfest every time. When you've got that many broken and degenerate cards to build a deck with, just write off the entire 3 months after that, because it is not going to be playable. That said, gotta get my coins, yo. Just saying, gotta get my wild cards. So I'm going to be playing it bare minimum, whether I want to or not. Just saying, So anyway, yeah, I actually just got a call from my brother, and him and his family are super anti-gun. But now with all the crazy shit, all the food shortages, the brawls at the grocery store, and the now, I wouldn't say rioting, really obnoxious loud protesting in my area, the blame everyone else for all the problems in your life convention of dumbass racists, that protest. My brother just called, he's like, you want to go gun shopping next weekend? I'm about to post 2 of my guns on Craigslist for a very unreasonable price. Okay, let's just say it's getting real up in here. So anyway, let's move back to crazy Magic stuff. We've got Maro's Core 2021 teaser, which I did kind of like the teaser he did for Ikoria. It was kind of like it made you think, and it was like interesting without really giving anything away. I mean, I hate him. I hate the new set. I hate everything he designs, but I did like that. I mean, there's some enjoyment to be had there. This one, I've heard rumors, does not quite give you that vibe. It's well, let's just say I heard a rumor about what's in here and I haven't read it to confirm it yet. Okay, let's start at the top. And this is all according to Mark Rosewater. This is 100% accurate. We are going to see, 1, a brand new planeswalker from a plane we visited. Okay. So like immediately they're from a plane we visited, but they weren't in the storyline when we were on that plane. They either just had their Spark Ignite or they just didn't feel like showing up to whatever was going on. But I can see why he put this first. This is very significant. Core sets are kind of just blah. They're like a flashback clip episode usually of like your favorite anime or whatever. Yeah, it's not unheard of to introduce a new character, but usually they pull the whole, oh, they're from an unknown plane we haven't disclosed or named yet. That's like the procrastinators will do it later approach to writing a background for a character, but like, okay, you gotta leave some mysteries. Like, I kind of get it. But I think it's way cooler to be like, no, they're from a place you've heard of before. Hey, there comes artifact guy from Kaladesh or something. Oh, did I just assume their gender? Sorry, I meant trans person in a wheelchair with depression. And pink skin and cat ears. For all them furry out there. I feel so represented and not cheaply pandered to grab my money from a giant soulless corporation. I'm sure all the autistic players in Magic the Gathering really appreciate Narset and her game-ruining bitchitude. I feel so represented. As a deck with her in it counters everything I'm playing. The whole Jeskai tribe can just get Ebola and die, okay? So anyway, moving on, we're going to see a card that lets you draw half your library. Okay, we did not get very far into that list before we hit the one that people are talking about. Oh man, I have a really bad cough today and it's messing with this recording. If my throat sounds bad, it's because it's like on fire. That's probably not great. I'll keep you updated on that situation. But yeah, a card that lets you draw half your library. The card Traumatize was bad enough, okay? That's where you mill half your opponent's library. So they have to take their library, count it, start over, count again, but count to half. Take that half of the library, slap it into the graveyard, then let your dickish opponent that cast Traumatize look through your graveyard to figure out what deck you're playing. Okay, functionally, that card is a boat anchor for the speed of the game. So now we're going to just let somebody straight up draw half their library, which means, once again, they have to count their library, stop, start over, count again from the top, flip it all up, and this time put it into hand. So phasing seems like it would work fine on digital and be a pain in the ass to track on paper. And then this looks like it would be really, really easy to do digitally, but a pain in the ass to do in paper. Interesting trend you've got going there, Wizards. I don't believe the whole they're gonna kill paper thing, but I think they're trying to literally like drive more people to digital. I can't imagine that they make more money on digital than they do in paper. Mostly because we got drastically contradictory statements in the last 5 years about which one is higher. Directly from Wizards of the Coast and top management staff, by the way. But the most recent statement is that paper makes more than digital combined, MTGO and Arena combined. I don't think that's true, and I think that he was referring to gross income, not net profit. Because like 7 years ago, MTGO was 60-some% of their profits, from what I heard. So we know that absolutely tanked, but then Arena is a thing, so I don't know. Anyway, drawing half your library is, you get a potential draw trigger. Most of the draw triggers I know of are whenever you draw a card, lose a life, but, okay, Obnix lose. But, something might happen. And then if you're running 4 of, it's basically a tutor. You're probably going to hit the card you need to hit. So you're going to go get your stupid combo. I don't care what the condition is, and I don't care what the spell or ability costs. This is stupid. I don't want to sit there and wait for them to count their deck 2 or 3 damn times, pick all the cards up, then look through them one at a time and figure out which ones they're going to play. Okay, I don't have time for that bullshit. Plus on Arena, have you ever had like 20 plus cards in hand? Like due to like folio or something? It is almost impossible to click on the card that you want or even read what's in your damn hand. And then they're going to roll this out for mobile. Like this card doesn't work. And he just assured us, this is not a rumor, something does this. I assure you something does this, we just printed this bullshit. Well, thanks, Mark. I bet it was your idea. He's like that stupid, like, 11-year-old comic book nerd where they're like, this time they blew up the entire universe. Whoa, we went super big on this one. How cool is that, you guys? Oh, draw 7? No, we're going to draw half your library. That's never been done. That's so big and cool and powerful. People are going to think this is so cool and new. Whoa, it broke the game. Whoops. That is Mark Rosewater encapsulated in one giant stereotype. Okay, that is him as a person. That is how his brain works. He's a stupid, flashy, always wants to be the guy with the craziest idea in the room idiot. So yeah, screw that card or ability or whatever the hell it is. So it's probably the mid Teferi, the rare Teferi's alt. So hopefully it'll never realistically happen. Knowing Wizard of the Coast, it's probably on a 2-cost blue instant. So next up, we've got a +1/+1 Tribal Lord. Oh, love those ones. You guys know how I love tribal decks and all the boosts they give them. For a creature type that has never had one. But it's a creature card with 50 of them already in print. We already have Heraldic Banners, so just on the surface, that's broken as shit. But, 3 months of hell and then it rotates. I could sit here and speculate and guess. I could probably literally just go check the stats on Gatherer until I guess it. I've got a couple candidates, but who cares? Somebody in the comment section is going to do it anyway. It's probably like Horse or Druid or something. Who cares? It might be Wizard, though, since this is Teferi. But anyway, we're going to have a character with a Vanguard card, which that's kind of like Commander meets Planescape. It's like a really old format. It's also a completely different card game, so don't get it twisted there. But yeah, there used to be a format called Vanguard. It was a whole thing, and yeah. It was actually really cool, but Plane Chase, or Planar, whatever the hell it's called, is way better. But yeah, we're going to see a character with a Vanguard card and a legendary creature card gets the second of the ladder? What, is that like a Chinese riddle or something? Is that in my fortune cookie? What did he just say? A character with a Vanguard card. Well, Vanguard cards aren't legal in Standard, so I don't know what he means. A character that was on a Vanguard card or a character with the ability that's the same as a Vanguard card, and a legendary creature card gets a second of the ladder. That's redundant. I'm not even going to try to figure out what that sentence was supposed to mean. If they had Vanguard to Standard, cool. It's kind of like playing Chase, whatever, go for it. But if you thought Companion needed some rules modifications, ooh, look up Vanguard. Anyway, we're going to have a card with 31 different options. What the f***? I'm sure it's like, haha, functionally you could do this 31 different ways, which is oddly, I think, a prime number. So like, that really doesn't scale up from a couple exponentially. It's probably 1 plus 30, and the 30 is based on 3, but there's 10 different ways to do each 3, which is why I said it's odd that it's a prime number. And by the way, I'm reading these all for the first time, so if you think it's kind of weird that like within a quarter second I said, well, that can't be a prime number. Every card, every spoiler, every time, they're all just numbers and patterns to me. That's just how I work. So I can't imagine what fresh hell this is. I'm sure he's kind of exaggerating how it really works. I don't think it's a modal spell with 31 sentences on it. But, I mean, if you go to the D&D world, they had spells so complex with 3 paragraphs that if you buy the spell cards, it just stops and you have to go look it up in the book anyway to figure out what the other 2 paragraphs are. And Wizards owns D&D. I wouldn't put it past them to just say this card is continued on, here, go to this website and then slap a QR code on it. I mean, at this point... So next up, we've got a card that gains all activated abilities of a certain subset of cards in a place it's never done it before. I'm not really sure what he means by that, but that's kind of the point of this whole list. I'd say equipment wouldn't really make sense logically unless it's like some kind of animated golem robot thing, but I mean, this is Teferi we're talking about, and the whatever academy thing. Oh yeah, Tolarian Academy. Yeah, I'm not gonna forget that name. He like taught there or something, and then blew it up 4 times. I don't know. I mean, I'm no lore expert, but let me just sum up the whole storyline here with Teferi. Teferi's an asshole, a careless asshole. So I almost for a second thought that like this meant keywords, but no, he literally said activated abilities. I really like those cards that gain like all the keywords of other cards in play or whatever. Those are kind of fun. Not so much when it's graveyard. Not a fan of that. But no, he said activated abilities, but not triggered abilities, which is good because that would be really broken. So I don't know what he means. It could be interesting. I have a feeling it has to do with wizards. Next up, we got a card that uses a non-evergreen named ability over 20 years old. Well, that's phasing. I mean, I don't for sure know that phasing is over 20 years old, but it's old. We're going to have a card with the words battlefield, cast, creature, converted mana cost, end of turn, exile, graveyard, and mana cost, all on the same card. So, okay, that is what it is. Next, we got an aura inspired from a cycle from Urza's Saga block, which, yeah, this is Teferiville, so I'm not surprised. I'm pretty sure the Urza's Saga block was the one people told me they absolutely despised the standard meta in, so great place to pull inspiration from. Remember, Ikoria was modeled after Rise of the Eldrazi, which everybody hated. Now he's basing an aura off of Urza's Saga, which I believe I correctly remember everybody hated, and then they're bringing back mechanics from 7 and up on the Storm Scale, which is mechanics that didn't work and everybody hated. It's like they're purposely trying to destroy the game. But Mark Dumbass Rosewater has run out of good ideas for cards and mechanics, so he's looking to what would really push it, and he's looking to all the stuff that was broken in the past and trying to make it work again, which, very, 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 very bad strategy, Mark. It says a non-evergreen enchantment subtype returns. I'd like to think it's bestow, but probably not. Oh, especially because that's a mechanic on an enchantment and they said subtype. So now, I don't know what the hell it is. There's only a couple options. I just don't remember what they are. Then he says Core 2021 also has a number of fun reprints, including, well, we already knew that. It's usually half reprints. 1, a popular character first introduced in flavor text. Hey, okay. Nobody loves like hanging mystery references, so at least they'll be closing whatever that is. A French Vanilla Mythic Rare, which French Vanilla I think is like a card that only has one common evergreen keyword, and that's what keeps it from being true vanilla. These stupid ass nicknames, guys. I mean, can we calm down with the damn nicknames? At the end of the day, the whole, oh, this is that. I'm running a Jeskai deck. This blah, 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 blah. This acronym, this BOP is Birds of Paradise. It's just elitist, stuck-up douchebag gatekeeping. Can we just cut the shit and call cards what they are? These stupid cutesy nicknames are used most heavily by the most dickish, stuck-up pro wannabe players. I don't know if you noticed that or not. And it's just so they can sound super included in their own little community bubble and like they're an expert who knows everything about the game. I let my gameplay and my stats and my results speak for themselves, and I cut all this bullshit. Oh, with one exception. I like to throw it back in their face and say, oh, you're running a Dega deck. And they're, Dega? What the hell is Dega? You know, the nickname for white, red, black. Oh, that's a Glint-Eye deck that you're running. 4-color Glint-Eye. Wait, no, there's no Glint-Eye in this deck. No, it's Glint-Eye. You know, blue, black, red, green. I mean, if you're going to use the Tarkir ones and the shards or whatever, we're going to use all of them. I can act like twice the elitist douchebag as you are, you and your Raka deck. What's Raka? Red, blue, white, which I'm pretty sure is already Jeskai. So if you really want to piss off these pretentious douchebags using all these stupid terms at F&M, memorize what Intet, Oros, Vorosh, Numat, Teneb, Ana, Seta, Dega, Nekra, Raka, and Glint-Eye, Dune, Ink Treader, Witchmaw, and Yortiller. Memorize what all those are, and then not only use them, but then like act shocked that the other person doesn't know what you're talking about. Which is like 6 levels of irony because that's exactly what they do. Oh, you don't know what an Esper deck is? You must be a noob. I'm so much better than you. That bullshit is probably my number 1 pet peeve in Magic besides slow playing. Cut the shit, stop acting like an asshole. So anyway, we're going to see a popular aura that started as part of a cycle, which he said reprint, so that means they're still not going to necessarily finish the cycle. I mean, I'd like to assume they put it in because they're now finishing the cycle, but, you know, not necessarily. We're going to see a card with a unique protection. 3 years after they said they're removing protection from the game permanently because it's too confusing and nobody knows how it works. Cool. We're going to have 2 cards played in tournaments that have been reprinted over 20 times with at least 5 different pieces of art. I mean, played in tournaments could be anything. I was going to say Evolving Wilds, but like it wouldn't be my first choice for a tournament, but depends what the format is. I mean, if you don't have fetches and you want to thin out your lands, you're going to run Evolving Wilds in a professional tier 1 deck. I mean, it's not unheard of. I'd like to think they're talking about Birds of Paradise, but, well, we have evidence that they removed it. But, like, why would he get so excited about it? Like, if it was Evolving Wilds, Negate, Naturalize, or Cancel. Like, those are the other ones I would think it might be. Oh boy, Evolving Wilds and Naturalize. I'm so excited. I'm going to add it to the list. Wow, like, who cares? Those are the most gimme, like, who gives a shit, cards ever. That's what makes me think one of them is Birds of Paradise, but it might just be some, like, really popular card that I'm not thinking of. Then we're going to see a card that's never previously appeared in a Premier set. I actually don't know what a Premier set is. I initially read that as it was only printed in a Premier set, which would be that black tutor card that costs 3 life. But then I realized it wasn't called Premier Series, it was called Starter Series. Whoops. The gold star logo threw me off. I mean, I real quick Googled it. Google has no idea what the hell he's talking about either. Every reference commonly in the Magic world to the word Premier means Premier Play, which is high level, professional competitive play. So that brings us nowhere, and I and nobody have any idea what the hell he's talking about. Maybe it's jumping from silver bordered to not, but they already did that with that, like, red trample thing. Anyway, we're also going to see a card that's never been printed before, which has a 2, 3, 5, and 6 all appear on the card. I don't care. A human monk. I mean, why would he put that on there if it wasn't the one we're all thinking of? It better not be, Mark. Don't you fucking do this to us. And finally, a card from the Time Spiral / Time Shifted sheet. Oh, God. I hope it's our pal Dandan. I don't know how to pronounce that. Dandan is the shit. That card is Magikarp on steroids, and I love it, and it's so stupid, and that better be the one they're talking about. I mean, technically, it is one of the most powerful blue creatures ever printed, but the restriction on it being able to fully function is truly ridiculous. But that's because it's a blue creature that costs 2, double devotion by the way, and it has 4 attack power. You do not see that in blue. In the entire history of the game, there are 2 creatures that, as written non-conditionally with no downside whatsoever, nothing to balance it, there have been 2 creatures where their attack power is higher than their casting cost in blue. One of them is, I think, Goliath's Sphinx, and the other one, I think, is like Geralf's Masterpiece, or no, it's not, I don't know, it's something like that. But then we got Dandan, which it's D-A-N-D-A with a little hat on it, and I don't even know what language it is. I'm gonna just take a wild guess it's not pronounced Dandan, considering one of the vowels is marked differently. But, too bad. So, Dandan can't attack unless defending player controls an island, in which case they are absolutely screwed, because also, when you control no islands, sacrifice Dandan, so that'll never happen. But he's a 4/1 for 2 double blue. A 4/1 in a blue deck on turn 2. But he can't attack unless your opponent has an island in play. So if they do, they are going to get absolutely mauled by this giant-ass magic cart. Otherwise, I mean, to be perfectly honest, a 4/1 on defense, So how many other cards could it be? Well, if you go to the Gatherer, look up Dandan, and then it says Expansion, Time Spiral, Time Shifted, and you click on that to see how many cards are in it, it says 0. There are 0 cards in Time Spiral, Time Shifted. Thanks, gatherer.wizards.com, in your infinite usefulness and total accuracy. So I looked it up elsewhere, certainly not scryfall.com, because their information is about as accurate as Helen Keller at a hatchet throwing competition. But yeah, according to the wiki, there are precisely, they're not going to tell me and I'm not going to count them, but about 100. So I mean, it could not be Dandan, but it's going to be Dandan. I mean, how could it not be? The only one I think we can rule out is the contraption guy. I think he was time shifted. He might have been from that other set. So anyway, that is the end of the list of extensive spoilers, teasers, leaks, everything. I'm sure there's a couple leaks that already came out that I forgot about. Wizards can literally not do anything without leaking something about it, so yep. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next video.